If you don't have a guy that you think is going to be a perennial Pro Bowler, All-Pro, potential Hall of Famer that you want at number 3, and you have an opportunity to go back and get more picks, get more of those lottery tickets, because everyone is a lottery ticket, and you got to scratch it off and see what's there. If you get more tickets, you're more likely to get more great players.
That's right.
So if they think that whichever quarterback is left after 1 and 2 are gone isn't going to be a superstar, you're better off trading back and getting more picks and more opportunities to fill your team with superstars.
Playing the numbers game. I mean, right? That's what you're talking about. Yeah, you give yourself more swings, you got more chance of hitting hitting the baseball, right? I mean, just like anything, right? That's where instead of putting it all in, like, we're all in on this guy, I hope he saves us, right? Instead of going like, hey, no, we got 7 guys, and hopefully we can hit on 5 out of the 7, and, it'll change our football team. That, I know we talked about this a little yesterday, but that's what they got to balance here. It's just, it comes down to that third quarterback they have on their board, right? That's really where it comes down. And then how do you have it valued with the other, whether it's the third and fourth quarterback or the third, fourth, and fifth quarterback? But how do you have that differentiated as far as the grading? Is the third quarterback you have on the board got a grade that you're like, wow, it's significantly better than 4, 5, and 6. We really believe in this guy. Then I'm like, hey, don't pass that up. You need a quarterback. You got a great grade on him. You believe he's the guy. Go for it. But if you're a team like the Patriots where, again, like Jerod Mayo said, like we all know, there's all different positions where we go, man, they could use a better player here. They could use an upgrade here. They can use an upgrade there. And your quarterback 3, 4, and 5 are very closely graded together, and you kind of like all 3 of them, then that would be one where I'd go, yeah, trade down a little bit. Don't trade down so far that maybe you're out of striking range altogether to get one of those quarterbacks, but see if you can find the fine line of threading that needle of I get one of them, plus I got 2 or 3 extra picks in the draft here to help out the rest of the football team.
Beyond Caleb Williams at number 1, there is considerable uncertainty as to how the quarterback board plays after that. Here's Mayo when asked whether he views the top of the draft as a 3-man race at quarterback.
Look, let me tell you, when I first started watching these guys, it was that 3-man race. And now, as you continue to, go to these, the pro days and bringing guys in on the 30 visits and having time to spend with those guys to really get to know what makes them tick. I mean, it's about 5 guys, honestly, that could come in and be a solid quarterback in the future.
Yeah, but, and again, we don't know how much of this is smokescreen. We are approaching the time of full-blown smokescreen.
I think it's real, though, in a lot of ways.
Of the draft.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is obvious stuff that if you follow the sport and you follow the draft year in and year out, and the aftermath of the draft, who works out and who doesn't, because in every given year, the run-up to the draft is about how great everyone's going to be. And the reality is we know that guys are going to work out and guys aren't going to work out. And as you get closer to it, are there really a small cluster of superstars? How deep does it go with can't-miss players? How far back can you go and still address your needs and get great players? And if there isn't a huge difference, like you said, between 3, 4, and 5, can you go back a little bit and still get a quarterback and get more stuff?
Right.
Because somebody else views the third quarterback much more highly than 4 or 5. That's how it all goes. But look at what can happen.
You don't know.
Look at what happened 3 years ago.
Right.
1 out of 5 has worked out. And I still am not ready to say that it's because of the player that the 4 failed. The circumstance has something to do with it. The team around him, the coaching, the front office, the dysfunctionality of the organization. And you don't earn the top picks in the draft by being a properly functioning organization. You've got to be a bad team or luck into it through trades that you did in the past to be sitting there at the top of the draft. That's part of it as well. So, look, and it happens every year. As you get closer and closer to the draft, people's heads get filled with all these grandiose ideas of what those picks can become.
Yeah.
And then months later, we start the process of finding out what those picks really are.
No, I know. Listen, it's interesting. And hey, where you heard me say and where I think it's different this year is I think we got, 5 or 6 guys this year as compared to that 21 class that I'd go, they played quarterback better. They're not just like, ooh, he does this awesome, but he needs to improve in the rest of his game. These are guys that I go, no, they know how to play the position. They know how to stand in the pocket, make throws, read coverages, throw the appropriate balls, all of that stuff. And I think, again, that's where you're seeing like a guy like J.J. McCarthy, right? You look at people getting to see him in person. Oh, he's bigger than I thought. Oh, he's more athletic than I thought. Ooh, his arm is very strong, if not maybe the strongest out of everybody. Right? So you're hearing about him. Bo Nix, the more you dissect him, you start to go, damn, good athlete, great accuracy, more arm strength than you think. He can run around. We know Michael Penix can throw lasers everywhere. It's about the injuries. And then there's the Drake May, right? To me, the Joker card, the jack of all trades here. Where is he? Yeah, there's a high ceiling or whatever, but there's also a part of like, whoa, that's way too inconsistent and needs a lot of work for me to think about him as number 3 pick in the draft and all of that as well. So that's why I think this is a very interesting quarterback year. And I do think, like Jerod Mayo said, we have 5 that I think legitimately I feel comfortable about their ability to play the game in the pocket the NFL way right now.
Throughout college football season, the names that you always heard were Caleb Williams and Drake May. Caleb Williams and Drake May. The other names have factored in as people like you have studied the film and introduced the idea that maybe Drake May isn't number 2. Here's Jerod Mayo talking about Drake May during that AFC coaches breakfast on Monday.
Drake May had a fantastic interview at the Combine. He brings a lot of energy. You can tell he has that leadership ability. And, also the exciting part about a guy like Drake May is the ceiling. Like, there is really no ceiling with a guy like that. Now, in saying that, when we're trying to put together this roster, I know a lot of people look at the ceiling, but you also got to kind of see how low is the floor. How low is the floor? And I would say a guy like Drake May, he has a lot of room to grow. He's a young guy. Honestly, he hasn't played football nearly as much as these other guys, so that's definitely something that we've looked at. But he definitely is going to develop.
It's all part of the guessing game. It's all part of figuring out.
That's what I've been trying to say about
ceiling
Drake
is.
May there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's it. I mean, again, it's there, but I think he's even telling you, like, hey, yeah, the highlights are great, right? But there's room for him to grow, and there is a floor to worry about. Right, like we talked about when we kind of hit the quarterbacks. It's, wow, a great throw deep down the field. That's awesome. But then the next throw is behind the guy. The next throw before that skips on the ground. And then the next play after that, he leaves the pocket for no reason. So to me, that's, again, where I get into the project, not a project, but just needs room to grow, work, mature, whatever. He's got everything else and what you want. But I think Jerod Mayo's, kind of alluding to the things I tried to say there, really.
A very wise and accomplished personnel evaluator told me years ago, you hear different things that just stick with you because they are so simple, but they speak to the truth of this whole process. Every player who comes into the NFL has a ceiling that is somewhere between what he did in college and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and nobody knows where that ceiling is. The job is to try to project the ceiling, but you can't until you put the player out there. Chris, you lived through it. You saw the difference between college football and pro football. It's fundamentally different. And that's where you find out where everyone fits on those levels of Pro Bowl, All-Pro, perennial All-Pro, Hall of Fame, not even on the team anymore, perennial backup. It all gets figured out once you get put in that environment, and the best, and look, it's a crapshoot. They don't know, because until you get out there against that level of competition. I remember with Deshaun Watson, the concern was he throws too many interceptions. Well, you know what happened when he came to the NFL and the windows got smaller? He got more accurate because he had to. Some guys can step up to the occasion, and some guys just can't, and we don't know until they go there and try.
Yeah. No, it's why it's not exact science. It's not. You do your best to kind of figure it all out and give yourself the best educated, let's say, guess or whatever that you can on the football player. And you use your past experiences being around certain other players and specimens and all that to lean on and do that. And I think that's where the good teams, they know the things to look for, and then every now and then they know their spots to, ooh, this is a little different than normal, but we're going to take a shot because we see something special there. We'll see here. But, this quarterback conversation going to be very interesting, especially with, Washington is sitting there at number 2 and a lot of talk and questions about them right now and what they're going to do.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.